Hi everyone, thank you so much for finding this page, The Villages Homestyle, where we're going to talk about all things related to the villages, from clubs, events, homes, and some frequently asked questions. I'm so excited to talk to y'all today about an area that I get questions about all the time from villagers and some of my clients. And quite honestly, there's a lot of misinformation that's floating around, so hopefully we can start to clear some things up. So today we are going to talk about misconceptions about living in Middleton by the villages. Now, Middleton is the new all-age section in the southern end of the villages, and when we typically think of the villages, we don't think of areas that will allow for children under the age of 18. But the developer created this neighborhood to cater to people who work for the villages that want to live closer to their job. So that leads me into our first misconception, is that you have to work for the villages in order to live in Middleton. That is false. That is not true. You do not have to work for the villages in order to live in Middleton. Now, do a lot of people here work for the villages? Yes, but it's not a requirement when you purchase or rent a home. Now, if you want to send your kids to the state-of-the-art school that is adjacent to the Middleton neighborhood, then yes, you do have to be a villages employee. They also do verify employment the entire time your child is at school. So you can't start a job to have enrollment eligibility and then leave after a few months. You will get a letter stating that you either need to reinstate your qualifying employment or that your child is going to be disenrolled. So this brings us to our second misconception about Middleton, is that you have to have kids to live here. And while this is a family-friendly neighborhood, that misconception is also false. You do not have to have kids in order to live in Middleton. Now, if you do have kids and work for the villages, this is a very convenient location because it's a safe area for the kids to walk or ride their bikes to school every day. And in general, there probably are more homes with children than without, but I do feel like that's pretty common when you live in any neighborhood that doesn't have age restrictions. And quite honestly, there's a very wide variety of people that currently live here, from young, single, newly married, married for years, empty nesters, grandparents. So if you are considering moving to Middleton and don't work for the villages or have kids, this could be a great area for you. All right, so we are going to move right along. We have another misconception that Middleton residents have full access to the village's amenities, clubs, and recreation because we share the same parent company. This is false. While we are under the same umbrella of the villages, we are not village residents to pay into or have access to their amenities. Middleton does not have an amenity fee or an HOA fee per month, so there are really no permanent buildings for residents to use for clubs or groups at this point. Now, Middleton does have neighborhood amenities such as 2 parks, Lake Harlow and Dry Creek. And at each of these parks, there's a family pool, playground, pickleball and tennis courts, a basketball court, cornhole boards, paved walking paths, biking paths, and dog parks. So there are things to do in the neighborhood to keep you and the kids busy. And of course, you can always go to the squares every night for free music and entertainment, as well as dining that's open to the public. So another misconception that I hear about Middleton is that you have to have a qualifying sponsor who lives in the villages in order to live here, such as a parent, friend, or other family member. This is also untrue. Kind of going back to the earlier topics, anybody who wants to move to Middleton can, as long as they qualify to purchase or rent the home here. Now, there are a lot of family members that do live in Middleton in order to be closer to parents or grandparents who've moved to the villages. But again, it's not everybody and it's not a requirement. Alrighty, so our last misconception about living in Middleton is that you have to build your own home here, and there are no options for move-in ready or rental homes. This is false. However, there is a very large majority of Middleton residents now that have bought their own homes and designed it, and there are only a handful of rentals that I've seen become available, most likely because this neighborhood is just so new. The developer has built spec homes that are move-in ready as soon as they hit the market, but they're typically sold pretty quickly, and there isn't too much variety on the style of homes that they spec out. So that's probably why most of the residents here choose to build their own. Now, there are also rental restrictions in place that do not allow for short-term rentals like Airbnb, and I believe the minimum is a 6-month lease based on the deed restrictions. So other areas of Middleton may have different deed restrictions, and they may change as they move into different phases. So please make sure to ask for a copy of your deed restrictions before purchasing or renting a home here. Now, there is a wide variety of homes that they build, and most of them are the same floor plans that you'll see in the villages, but they've changed the names a little bit to kind of fit their family-friendly theme. Homes will range from 900 square feet all the way up to over 3,000 plus square feet. The lots that you can build on also vary greatly, and I have seen some with a $0 premium all the way up to the extra large lots with water or preserve views for over $100,000 just for the land. Now, while we're speaking of premiums, we are in February of 2024, and they just opened up phase 3 of Middleton. So most, if not all, of the lots that are still available in phase 1 and phase 2 have been reduced. Now, another big thing that I wanted to talk about is that you can add a fence to your home. It is not like in the villages where you have to buy a certain style of home and the fence already comes with it. Of course, there are restrictions in place for the type of fencing that is permitted, and some lots require you to have what's called a view fence, meaning that it's about 3 foot high with an unobstructed view. Most of the lots that require a view fence are on the perimeter or corner lots. So if adding a privacy fence is important to you, please make sure that you read and look at the fencing requirements before signing for your new home. And I do want to point out, even though Middleton does not have an amenity fee or an HOA fee, there are the deed restrictions and there is the bond. So if you're unfamiliar on what the bond is, it's essentially the cost to develop the land where your home is. The bond is not financed with your home purchase, but it's paid out over 20 to 30 years on your tax bill as a non-ad valorem tax. The cost of the bond varies greatly as well because it's based on the size of your lot that you've purchased and the home series that you decide to build. So the general rule of thumb is a smaller lot, smaller bond, larger lot, larger bond. And the latest bond information that I found is balances run from about $17,000 on the smaller lots to over $47,000 on the larger lots. You can pay off the bond balance when you purchase the home. However, most people choose not to because if you sell the house before the bond balance is paid off, the remaining balance is just transferred to the new owner. It doesn't increase your home value because the bond balance is 0. However, it does increase the amount of buyers that would be interested in your home. Now lastly, the Middleton downtown area is still under construction, but we are all very much anticipating that area to come to life, hopefully by the end of 2024, most likely 2025. There'll be dining, shopping, entertainment right across the street for Middleton residents to enjoy. And Middleton is connected to the village's multimodal paths. So right now, if you live here, you can take Bexley Bridge to the Sawgrass area, and then of course you can go north or south to other areas of the villages. It's not the most convenient right now to travel solely by golf cart because it does take some time to get to where you're going, but the option is there. And eventually with the completion of Eastport, there'll be more things to do much closer to home. So I know that this was a lot of information that we went over today, and I hope that you learned something about the new area of Middleton by the villages. It really is a great place to live, and it's enjoyable to see families and friends out in the neighborhood playing like we all did when we were kids. They ride their bikes, scooters, go for walks, take the dogs out. It's just fun to see. So if you have questions about Middleton or anything that I did not go over today, drop a comment below and I will do my best to answer it as quickly as possible. Thank you all so much for hanging in there today as we talked about some of the most common misconceptions about Middleton. This was a little bit longer than some of my other videos, so thank you so much for sticking with us. And if you're interested in content like this, or you wanted to learn more about the Villages as a whole, click that subscribe button so you can get notified of new videos. Now be kind out there in the world, and we will see each other again soon.